Shortly after the tsunami, I read a newspaper article written by the Archbishop of Canterbury, fine title, about the tragedy in southern Asia. The essence of what he said was this: the people most affected by the devastation and loss of life do not want intellectual theories about how God let this happen. He wrote, if some religious genius did come up with an explanation of exactly why all these deaths made sense, would we feel happier or safer or more confident in God? If the man in the photograph that appeared in the newspapers holding the hand of his dead child was standing in front of us now, there are no words that we could say to him. A verbal response would not be appropriate. The only appropriate response would be a compassionate silence and some kind of practical help. It isn't a time for explanation or preaching or theology. It's a time for tears. This is true. And yet, here we are, my church in Oxford, semi-detached from events that happened a long way away, but with our faith bruised, and we want an explanation from God. We demand an explanation from God. Some have concluded that we can only believe in a God who shares our pain. In some way, God must feel the anguish and grief and physical pain that we feel. In some way, the eternal God must be able to enter into the souls of human beings and experience the torment within. And if this is true, it must also be that God knows the joy and exaltation of the human spirit as well. We want a God who can weep with those who weep and rejoice with those who rejoice. This seems to me both a deeply moving and a convincing restatement of Christian belief about God. For hundreds of years, the prevailing orthodoxy, the accepted truth, was that God the Father, the Creator, is unchanging, and therefore, by definition, cannot feel pain or sadness. Now, the unchanging God feels a bit cold and indifferent to me. And the devastating events of the 20th century have forced people to question the cold, unfeeling God. The slaughter of millions in the trenches and in the death camps have caused people to ask, where is God in all this? Who is God in all this? And the answer was, God is in this with us, or God doesn't deserve our allegiance anymore. If God is a bystander, observing but not involved, then God may well exist, but we don't want to know about him. Many Jews and Christians now feel like this, I know, and I am among them. So we have a suffering God, a God who is intimately connected with this world and with every living soul. I very much relate to this idea of God. But it isn't enough. I need to ask some more questions, and I hope they're questions that you will want to ask as well, some of you.